What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. It's my Friday, 5 p.m. Colts Law podcast, the very last one for sportscaster, right? End of an era. For the past 1 year, I have been employed by Sportscaster. It's been my job, and I absolutely love working for this platform. Made a lot of friends, enjoyed every moment of it. Some of it felt like a job at times because I had to cover a lot of stuff over and over and over. This time last season, I can't remember how many times we talked about Yannick Ngakoue or Jadeveon Clowney, or you know what I'm talking about, just all over there. But that's all right. That's all right. Because like I said, guys like Keith McPherson, Ray Rout, Joe Nubo, and many others. As a matter of fact, I feel absolutely awful because I completely and utterly forgot one person's name there for a minute. Adam Armbrecht. Yes. Met these guys, loved in sitting here doing football analytics with them. Hopefully we will continue to do so. Obviously, Nick, my boss out there, he was a great guy to work with as well and for. So, but hey, I can't cry over the past. It was a blessing working for Sportscaster. Now I have to just move on. So thank you everyone who has been with me for this past year. I learned a lot about doing video stuff, audio stuff, things of that nature. Now I'm going to move on with my career in this industry. So, getting on to today's podcast, what we're going to be talking about is basically yesterday, and I just want to say another little quick thing. Yesterday, two things happened. Number one, Frank Reich brought out a press conference. Normally, it's regular scheduled for the combine. That's why in the title, this is called the Combine Presser. But obviously, there's no NFL Combine. So, it was just a presser. Now, the other thing that happened was my wife lost her mother, and that's why I did not go live yesterday. I was planning on it, and then, the tragedy struck, and I decided that my wife needed me there by her side. She was very insistent that I should have went out and done it anyhow, but I couldn't do that to her. But I will take her on the offer of continuing my Friday 5 p.m. So here I am. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go over Frank Reich's press conference. We're going to show the video since it is on YouTube, and we're going to stop and we're going to review and react to it. I have yet to watch it because I have been so busy. But you're going to get my live reactions, what my takes are on it. And if you guys have any takes about this press conference, feel free, say something in the chat. Generally, these pressers have a lot of things in them that is not outright said. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff that he can't say, like, the Carson Wentz trade, because it hasn't officially went down. It won't be official until March 17th. So a lot of questions might be asked, and I fully expect them to be asked, that are hinting around that, but they can't be asked or answered directly about it. And before I get started, please don't forget, hit the like button. Or, as John Davis pointed out, that I've already got a dislike, and I didn't even go live yet, hit the dislike button if you don't like it. I don't care. That's great. Your opinions matter to me, okay? Don't forget to subscribe. I am about 80 subs away from 1K. That's right, people. I have gotten over 100 subs in the past 4 days. I'd like to think that has to do with the fact that I'm bringing out my content on a daily basis now rather than on a weekly basis. And that's going to continue from here on out because you guys deserve good content about the NFL, the football, the players, everything that's going on, and especially the Indianapolis Colts. So without further ado, let's start the video. and then we will get into questions and what I feel about this actual, what happened here. Here's Frank Reich with the press conference from yesterday.
Obviously, this is our normal interview for what would be combine, but per usual in the last 12 months, right, we're adapting and adjusting, so I appreciate everyone accommodating. As you would expect me to say, with the relative news that's been out in the headlines recently, you guys know the rules. I'm going to be unable to make any serious comments on some of that stuff. And then, as always, in regard to free agency, again, just limited things that we can say at this time. You just know that Chris and I and the staff are, working diligently and very hard and excited, about continuing to build a team and a roster that can win world championships with the kind of players that fit our culture and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. That's a never-ending quest that gets talked about every day. It's very, very exciting, and we're looking forward to continuing to make our team better.
That's funny. Boston Sports Talk. Yeah, thank you so much for the well wishes, and it will hopefully everything will get better over the next few days. As for what Frank just said, obviously they're looking to bring in people here in free agency that are still going to build on the culture that they have built, and that's great. He brought up exactly as I said. He can't be direct with certain questions. Fully expected that.
Secondly, just want to, since this is the first time that we've talked since the news of Nick Sirianni getting the head coaching job with the Philadelphia Eagles, I wanted to congratulate Nick. You guys know Nick and I are super close. There's very few people in this business who I think as highly of as I do Nick. I just think he's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. I think he's got great coaching pedigree. I wish him the best of luck. I'm excited about the staff he's put together. I'm excited about the opportunity he has in front of him with a great organization there. So wish them nothing, Nick and the Eagles, nothing but the best of success.
That says a lot. He just said that Nick Sirianni is one of the best offensive minds he's ever been around in the NFL. You know how long Frank Reich's been around in the NFL? Holy crap. I mean, I get it. I love Nick Sirianni. I think he was a great offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts, even though he was only the offensive coordinator for 3 years. I think he can do a lot for Philly. And the fact that he is in a completely different conference allows me to root for him with all the utmost that I possibly can, except obviously when Philly plays the Indianapolis Colts. Where's the popcorn law? I wish. I wish. No, I'm just sitting here chilling, dude. But we are going to be reacting to it, Jason. We are going to be reacting to it as I just, you've seen. Let's continue.
And then lastly, as far as opening, obviously the news of because of that hiring, we had a unique scenario where we had to hire 6 new coaches. And I'm really excited about that opportunity to hire new coaches. I think we really got 6 quality men, 6 really good football coaches who fit who we are, have a vision for what we want to do, have a vision for how to get players better, have an expertise and the experience to get done what we want to get done as a coaching staff. So very excited about that.
6 new coaches. Now, if you don't know, some of these coaches aren't brand new. Now, when he says 6 new coaches, it more like has to do with the fact that they're in different positions with the Indianapolis Colts, right? Let me go in here and name them off real quick here. Obviously, Marcus Brady, which was the ex-quarterback coach, is now going to be the offensive coordinator since Nick Sirianni moved on. Hold on. Whoops. Let's move this back here. There we are. All right. So We got a new tight ends coach, Jason Michael. And after that, you got to apologize. Oh no, that was last year. I'm sorry. Holy crap. Whoops. Let me go back to, I don't know where in the world. Anyhow, we got a couple new guys with the separation of the quarterback's coach moving up to being the offensive coordinator. We had to hire a new quarterback's coach. And then we had a few other guys that just kind of moved around. He'll talk more about that. Running back and cornerback coach, yes. We got a lot of CFL coaches. John Davis explains that right here. Yes, we did. And that's actually a good thing, right? Because the CFL is kind of a spread offense, and the NFL is going into that. And with the fact that we have Carson Wentz, or will have Carson Wentz, March 17th, the spread offense is more something that he is really good with. He can run the RPO out of it a lot better than your traditional I formation stuff that you've seen over the last couple of years with Phillip Rivers and Dorsett, or I almost said Philip Dorsett, Jacoby Brissett. So I think yes. Oh, yeah, that is true. Jamie Miller steps up, not losing Eberflus and Sirianni in the same offseason. That's a huge deal. That is a huge deal. I'm surprised Eberflus. I think the Nick Sirianni signing caught a lot of people by surprise. Most people thought that Matt Eberflus was going to be signed rather, Hey, Jackson Reel, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here. And hey, what's going on? Alpha Wolf. Eberflus is the man, right? Let's go ahead and get back on this. Let's hear what he's opening it up for questions, I believe, right now.
And in particular, I would note, really excited for Marcus Brady, to be our new offensive coordinator.
Marcus That's a huge deal.
More than ready for the job. I got the utmost confidence in him. I knew the day we got Marcus in the building, he was ready. And I figured it would come to this.
Huge deal.
I knew Nick would eventually get a head job pretty quickly because of the kind of coach he is. And there was never a doubt in my mind that Marcus would be that next man up and that he'd be ready for the job. And so I'm excited for him and excited to work closely with him in that capacity as our coordinator. Open it up.
Okay, now this is what I want to get into. Marcus Brady being the offensive coordinator. Hold on. We bring in Carson Wentz, right? Who's a quarterback who's having a little bit of problems right now. Our head coach, ex-quarterback, ex-quarterback's coach, ex-offensive coordinator. He's going to know how to handle that. Marcus Brady, offensive coordinator, ex-freaking quarterback's coach, right? Then we got a quarterback's coach. Then we got an assistant quarterback's coach with Frazier, who's been with the team for 7 years now. So he's going to have 4 coaches that are going to be there for him. That's a huge deal. Unlike what he had in Philly when he didn't have nothing except for Peterson after Frank Reich left. Come on. This team is built to handle quarterbacks and develop them, which is a big, huge bonus also for Jacob Eason, right? That's my thought. I just gave you a little bit of heads up of what I thought, man. And so I get what you're saying, 2021. Like I said, Brady was the quarterback's coach. And you know what? What's funny is the new quarterback's coach is a guy that actually, I think Frank Reich will say something about that in the conference. I'm sure someone's going to ask about it because he was a big hiring. So let's see what goes on here.
Some questions from there.
All right, Joel Erickson.
Frank, you started touching on this already, but just a lot of turnover, especially on the offensive staff. What drew you to some of the guys you hired, and how do all their responsibilities break down?
Very extensive interviews, with each of the guys. There's got to be a prove it mentality. Of course, we know their pedigree. each one of them was kind of a different story behind the hiring. I won't go into those one by one. If you want to ask specifically about one guy, I'm more than happy to do that. But on several of them, there's a personal connection. On others, there's just their coaching pedigree. Their interview was outstanding. In all cases, it was very clear, who we had interviewed a lot of really good candidates, but each of these guys stood out amongst the other guys that we interviewed.
Yeah. One of them being, one of them I think had the job. The new quarterbacks coach had the job before the interview even happened because, like he said, he already had history with them.
Mike Chappell.
Frank,
What's going on, Avery
the
Watkins?
owner on down, Chris, yourself, and the expectations is that this is a team ready to win now, with holes to fill. Obviously, how important is it to get the quarterback situation correct, right?
Like I said earlier, there's going to be questions. They can't directly ask about Carson Wentz, but they can kind of meander around it with the option of, Frank knows that what these questions are going to be about. So let's hear what he's got to say.
That's very important. Very important, as we all know. I mean, it's a critical position. You always have that healthy tension of the quarterback position is really important, but the quarterback is just one man, on the roster. So we do believe like we have the right roster, we have the right culture, and getting good quarterback play is something that is necessary to win a world championship. And obviously here in this organization, the standard has been set, and I feel like we've gotten good quarterback play in recent years in our 3 years here as well. So we need to continue to have that kind of play and even continue to improve upon that kind of play for us to win a world championship.
Thanks, Frank.
Jake Arthur.
Hey, Coach. With Marcus Brady and Scott Milanovich, they've got kind of interesting ties with the CFL. How do you think your guys' offense could maybe adjust a little bit with some of those new ideas?
That's what I was talking about earlier. Scott Milanovich, that's the new quarterbacks coach. That's the CFL guy who used to actually be a coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars and was a personal favorite of Frank Reich's. So, and the CFL thing, that's a huge question. Let's hear what he has to say about that.
Yeah, no, I think first and foremost, it's an excellent point. And there are similar ideas. And, the CFL is everything spread out. And of course, the NFL is going a little bit more to spread out stuff. But both of these guys, Scott, I've known, obviously Scott coached with Jacksonville for a few years. Scott played at Maryland 10 years after I did. So we kind of know each other for a while. Scott is just an excellent football mind, excellent on quarterback play. I had a chance to go up to a camp where Scott was working for Mark Trestman. He was the offensive coordinator with the Montreal Alouettes, and I went up there to work with their team for a few days. I sat in all the meetings that Scott was leading. I saw him working with the quarterbacks on the field, and I knew then, I said, if I ever had a chance to hire Scott, he was a guy who was on my list. He had complete command of the room, had complete command of what it takes to play the quarterback position. And then, like I said, with Marcus, I didn't know as much about Marcus. Scott was actually the one who recommended Marcus to me when I hired him here as our assistant quarterback coach to start. And then Marcus won me over very quickly. So they're both really intelligent guys with a lot of good innovative ideas, and will keep us moving in the right direction.
That's actually really cool, because Frank Reich, he is. A lot of people see him as an innovator. He draws up his own plays, but he's bringing these guys in that have new ideas, right? Like college ideas to bring into the NFL. And now that we have an athletic quarterback in Carson Wentz, these extra guys that can bring in college style plays could come in huge for the Colts. Gary asked a question. Do you think Ballard would trade down to the bottom of the first, pick up a third, maybe a future pick? Gary, it really depends upon who's there in the draft at the time. when Ballard is going to pick at 21. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, there's a top 15 guy sitting there at a position of need that he has ranked really high. He'll probably take him if it's a cornerback, defensive end pass rusher, or an offensive lineman out on the offensive tackle side. Let's see what won me over. Can't get over that. Okay, so coming on strong, 4191 says that the Colts have so many holes to fill, need 2 defensive ends, 2 corners, left tackle, true number 1 tight end. All right, as for the tight end, Jack Doyle's still solid. Mo Alley Cox will be coming back. Left tackle, yes, we need a left tackle. True number 1, I think we have that in Michael Pittman Jr. 2 corners, we have cornerbacks. Whether or not they are starting style, I mean, you got to remember, we still got Marvell Tell, the rookie from the previous year that opted out due to COVID this season. We'll see. We might hear a little bit about him in this, hopefully. As for the defensive ends, I that's something I think we need to press, and I've talked about that before. Here we go. Let's continue on with this conversation.
Kevin Bowen.
Love
Hey, Frank,
Kevin
appreciate
Bowen.
the time. I know there's a lot of decisions still to be made at left tackle, but in your discussions with Chris, how much has Quentin expressed the desire to want to play left tackle, if he has, to you guys on a permanent basis?
Good question.
Yeah, there's been lots of discussion between Chris and I. I think the discussion with Quentin is you guys would expect this. Quentin wants to do whatever is best for the team. He's willing to do whatever is best for the team. And what I appreciate about Quentin is that he trusts that Chris and I will, along with the staff, with the coaching staff, will make what we believe is the best decision. And so we want to get the best 5 guys on the field at the best positions for them. It doesn't mean, and they can grow into those positions. So we're still keeping all options open at this point. Obviously, we got the draft and free agency coming up. We know we have multiple options, multiple good options, but each one of those ends up with a vision of us having a top 5 offensive line. And we're going to find the best 5 players to put out there, and we're confident. And we know those guys have already expressed to us, hey, just put us wherever you want us. We're going to make it work.
All right. So Ricky Frazier brings up, obviously, we need a left tackle. We might have a left tackle on the team. This is what Frank Reich is expressing right here. We may have a guy that can play left tackle, right? Whether it be Quentin Nelson, whether it be Braden Smith, right? Braden Smith might be moved to left tackle, and then we would need a right tackle. I don't like the idea of moving Quentin Nelson to left tackle and then dropping a guard there, maybe, Danny Pinner or drafting one. I don't like that idea because Quentin Nelson is so good on the pulls and stuff that if you put him at left tackle, if you put him at any tackle, pulling him is going to be a little bit more of a challenge on drawing up plays. I would rather keep him at guard. And besides, we've seen over the last season, Quentin Nelson is just so good at guard that he's able to help out young tackles. He's able to give a hand out there. So, yes, left tackle is a need. And he just got done saying they will put the best guys they have out there in whatever order needs to be done. So I love the idea of bringing back Joe Haig. Love the idea. Ricky Frazier asked about that. How do I feel about that? You know what? I don't mind it. He went to the Bucks with the idea of starting out there that they draft a guy in the first round. He balls out. If Haig wants to come back, I'm okay with that. But we need to see something soon. We just need to see something soon. All right, let's continue on.
Jim Aiello.
Love Jim Aiello.
Hey, Frank, thanks for taking some time.
I love all
I'm
these
gonna try to
guys
ask this
mostly.
question in a way I think you can answer it. Hopefully that's the way it goes. But with the quarterback position in terms of confidence, how important is a guy's confidence when they're playing the position game to game? And if a guy does lose confidence at any point, how can you as a coach or coaching staff kind of try to build that up in practice or week to week or, during a game?
Jim, kudos to you, my guy. Oh my goodness. He's not just generally asking this question for anyone, right? This is obvious. He might as well have said Carson Wentz. He just wasn't allowed to, right? About the confidence thing, because that is a big thing right now that's going around over the internet, is that he just didn't have the confidence after what happened this past season in the 2020 season in Philadelphia. Let's hear what Frank has to say about that. That's great.
Yeah, no, it's a great question and very relevant question, right? Always the confidence level of players at every position, certainly not just the quarterback position, but I think one of the great misnomers is that sometimes that fans think like the greatest players in the world. You know, I've seen some of the best players in the world. Everybody loses confidence for a moment. It may be brief, but it always goes back the same way, Jim. I mean, one of the ways to build confidence back is you go back to the basics. You make it about you go back to the fundamentals and technique. You go back to your basic schemes, and you build it one play at a time. That's true for any of us. And so that's the way we'll handle every position.
Well, that was a good way to answer it by Frank Reich. He basically said, you know what? We're going to make it simple for Carson Wentz when he comes in. We're going to play a lot of vanilla. We're not going to make things difficult. We're going to allow him to just use his athleticism and his natural ball skills and quarterback skills to help him get his confidence back, so that, you know, because one positive play creates another positive play, and it just increases your confidence level until you get to the point where you can move on and start doing more complex stuff. So yes, every quarterback in the NFL will go through situations where they're like, man, it seems like fate is against me, right? Luck is against me. Pardon the expression. Ooh, I just had a hiccup. But yeah, it happens to everyone, and the best way of going about it is just make things very simple for them early on. That's a smart way of going about it, and that goes for any position in the NFL, really.
George Bremer.
Coach, I got a couple questions. One, how important was it retaining Matt Eberflus on the defensive side of the ball just for continuity over there? And two, what are your thoughts on James Rowe? I know he's got a history with Kenny Moore.
Yeah, George. Yeah, very important to get Matt back. You know, obviously he was a great candidate to be a head coach, but think the world of Matt as a coach, as a person, as a defensive coordinator, that we can just keep building, have the continuity, as you said, but keep building and growing and adapting the system to our players. And I think Flus, I've just seen Flus continue to grow and develop in that role as well, really connecting with players and making a conscious effort to every week to put our players in the best position possible. I think he's extremely intelligent, very focused on the vision for how he sees the defense executing and where we want to be as a defense. And I've learned a lot from Flus over these 3 years. You know, as I sit in there with him and we talk things through and I ask questions and I give 2 cents here and there. But Flus, I'm really happy to have him back.
Stephen Holder.
All right. So obviously he's very happy to have Matt Eberflus back for the defensive coordinator position, because his scheme is set. These guys know the scheme. They've been playing the scheme for 3-4 years now, right? We got a very young defense that is impressionable. And the fact that we have the same defensive coordinator, that kind of keeps a continuity going. They don't have to learn a new scheme because Matt Eberflus is out, which means they're only going to get better next year. Granted, currently right now, as it was brought up earlier, we have a few missing pieces that are now free agents that might not come back, obviously. But, you know, being that the other guys on the defense, on the team, the other players know the scheme so well, any new guys that come in will be able to adapt to that scheme so much easier because the rest of the team knows it, right? And then when they come in, it's not just trying to learn from the coach along with everybody else. Everybody already knows it. They'll be able to help him out and help him adapt to that scheme a lot quicker. So I am very, very happy that Matt Eberflus is back.
Hey, Frank. I know that we've kind of talked about this in the past. You've had three different quarterbacks. Your past three different starting quarterbacks. Your past 3 seasons. Your first 3 seasons.
How did I know this wasn't going to be brought up?
Whether that changes, we'll see. But just generally, what would it mean to have some continuity at that position, if and when you can achieve that? What would that mean just from a continuity standpoint, and also not having to be in this position, every offseason as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously continuity, right? We all understand at whatever our jobs, it's just important. And I just think for our whole team, feeling like, hey, in one respect, it's interesting. In one respect, you always feel like, okay, we're going to play whatever cards we're dealt, whatever hand we're dealt, and we're going to play the cards well. So if we keep having to have a different starting quarterback every year, you do what you have to do. But obviously, the moves that we make in free agency are going to be designed to have a longer-term answer there. That's always been the goal, to have a longer-term answer at that position that you can build around and grow. Because as you grow as an offense, because the quarterback is so central in the offense going through him, being able to grow year by year is an important aspect of that. So that is certainly in our vision and plans for free agency at that position.
That we just got done talking about continuity, not just on the defense, but anywhere, let alone just quarterback. All right, think about the continuity on the offensive line. The reason this offensive line has been so good over the years is because of the continuity, because these same 5 guys are starting game after game after game after game, right? I mean, obviously losing Anthony Costanzo is going to hurt, but the other 4 guys, they've been together for 3 straight years. Okay, they'll be able to help him kind of merge into that offensive line, whoever takes that spot, or whatever new guy drops in. Same with quarterback. If Phillip Rivers was going to be able to play a second year, if he decided not to retire, come back, play a second year, Phillip Rivers would have started off that second year much, much better than he did this past year. Why? Because he already knew the system and the players, right? So continuity with the quarterback, staying in with it. You got to remember, if Carson Wentz plays even good enough to stay with the team, right? Let's say he doesn't play MVP level, all right, which no one expects that, really. But let's say he plays to top 20, top 15 quarterback status and is able to provide good quarterback play. And he sticks with us for year after year. He's on a 4-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts. That second year, he's going to play much, much better. Third year, even better than that. So we'll have him for 4 years, and he'll only get better. At least my opinion.
Zach Kiefer.
Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Zach?
Good. I remember on day one, when you took over, you mentioned what your offense, what you wanted it to do. Run when you want to run, pass when you want to pass, keep the defense guessing. How much has your offense been tailored to specific quarterbacks each of the last 3 years? Because they all have a different skill set, right? Rivers, Jacoby, Luck.
Oh,
and
damn,
how
good
much
question.
do you also want to keep the principles that you believe in offensively and not specifically tailor them to the quarterback? How do you balance that?
You guys.
Oh, no, I did not.
We can just keep building, have the continuity, as you said, but
3 different starting quarterbacks your past 3.
Our
Sorry,
vision and
guys.
plans for free agency at that position.
Zach Kiefer.
As you go further,
Run when you want to run, pass when you want to pass,
There we
keep
go.
the defense
Sorry,
guessing.
guys.
How much has your offense been tailored to specific quarterbacks each of the last 3 years? Because they all have a different skill set, right? Rivers, Jacoby, Luck. And then how much do you also want to keep the principles that you believe in offensively and not specifically tailor them to the quarterback? How do you balance that?
That is such a really good question by Zach Kiefer. All right. And I'm sorry. I'm sure you guys have done that, hit the stupid bar up here. But anyhow, that is such a great question because Frank Reich would rather have that playbook that he's got, run with it instead of year after year after year changing up the playbook to adapt to a new quarterback and what he does well. if he's able to continue with the same quarterback over and over and over, he can then build upon that playbook, not tear it down and rebuild the playbook. I think that is a very big point by Zach Kiefer. Let's hear what Frank has to say about it.
Yeah, we have had to adapt them year to year, but that's been easy to do because we've had good quarterbacks and we've had good quarterback play. And
he has to say that.
So
now, I think Rivers did.
You know, as you go forward, like you said, Zach, I mean, this idea of the importance of running.
Did you see the pause after he said we've had good quarterback play over the past 3 years, and then he had to stop and pause and be like, okay, I just told a slight fib because I'm sorry. I love Brissett as much as the next guy, but if it was good quarterback play, I mean, legitimately good quarterback play, he wouldn't have signed Phillip Rivers the year after that. And he knows that. And that's why he had to pause and kind of choke that back a little bit. That's my opinion, though.
The football, the importance of running the football and having a dynamic play action game that can get chunks down the field. There's different ways to do that. You know, one conventional way is to say, hey, get a quarterback who's more mobile and you get more nakeds and more bootlegs, and he's a threat to run. And so he can make the play action game, you know, look a little different.
You notice he brought that up specifically because of Carson Wentz. That's beautiful. Naked and bootlegs. Now, if you don't know what the difference between a naked and a bootleg is, it's basically a bootleg is where, you know, he fakes the handoff and rolls out, but he's got a guard that pulls with him to help protect him. A naked is the exact same thing, but no offensive lineman pulls out with him to protect him. He's naked out there in the field. But yeah, that's exactly that's great. And he's explaining that.
But I think this last year we proved it with having a quarterback like Phillip Rivers, who just look at the yards per attempt, look at the chunk plays, look at how well we did as an offense. So there's more than one way to accomplish that vision that you're referring to, Zach, but you're exactly right. I mean, that is really what we want to do as an offense. We want to be able to dictate, right? We want to be able, it's like a boxer. You guys know I always like to use the boxing analogy. When you get in the ring, you want to set the tempo and the tone of the fight. And having a quarterback that can do that is really important.
Mike Wells.
Hey, Frank, how you doing? I'm going to go ahead and stick along with the quarterback theme as we're all trying to go about asking this the right way. As a head coach, how much do you enjoy, you know, coming up with a creative way? Because like Stephen alluded to, you're about to head into another year with a different quarterback. Do you embrace the challenge of having your system fit the quarterback you have? I mean, or is it a challenge?
Yeah, it's both of those. I mean, you know, it's a challenge, but, you know, we all like challenges, right? And but a lot of it, it's not about, I hope that the guys that would be around us as an offensive staff and us as a staff, one of the things that we talk about is, you know, this is a player's game. So this is about putting the players on display. So as coaches, we have a job to figure out how to do that. And, but at the end of the day, we expect our players to outplay the coaching. And in fact, for us to win a world championship, you know, I'm not ashamed to say that the players do need to outplay their coaching. Now, I think they're going to get the best coaching they can get. But I don't want it to be about us. You know, it's about us each doing our job. As coaches, we got a job to do, and we got to exhaust ourselves to do that. And so is it a challenge? Yeah, it's a fun challenge, but really the focus is on putting the player in the best position.
That is a really Frank Reich answer, don't you think? My job is to put the players in the best position to succeed as I can and let them be the center of attention. That is as Frank Reich as you possibly can be. I mean, that's vanilla as heck. He's not wrong, but at the same time, in order to do that, you got to be a heck of a coach. You got to be a guy who could draw up plays, realize the strengths and weaknesses of a player, and draw up plays to really bring out what they do best, right? So Frank deserves some credit. Come on. Gotta. Exactly. You see what I'm talking about, John? Exactly. What's going on, KD? Thanks for joining. Yeah. Brandon Ace brings up the exact same thing I just said about that. I get that Brissett never turned the ball over, but again, he never really chucked it downfield to stretch a defense either. He was safe. He was a safe quarterback, which is why I think he'd be great for a team that needs a good game manager. Brissett would be a very good quarterback for a team that needs a game manager. Colts don't need a game manager right now. They need someone who obviously ain't going to turn the ball over. And you know what's funny? You can't really look at Carson Wentz and say he turns the ball over a lot. Last year, 15, go back before that. 3 seasons in a row of 7 interceptions and over 20 touchdowns, over 7 interceptions every year, 3 years straight. Okay, so that was after looking at my film room, and you're welcome to check out my film room, by the way, here on my YouTube channel. I think it had a lot to do with coaching and the players around him and the situation, right? Hey guys, I want to take this moment real quick. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Afterwards, come check me out on YouTube and make sure you subscribe on YouTube, because I'm on the road to 1K. I need about 80 subscribers to hit 1K. Then I can get monetized and my stuff will get out there a little bit more. Things of that nature. If you're here watching live on YouTube, please smash that like button. Even if you're not watching live, but you're watching it later, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. There's a little share button underneath where Frank Reich is on the video. Share it to your favorite social media. Even if you, same with the audio podcast, share it to your favorite social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. I very much appreciate it. Your help is what makes me continue doing what I'm doing. Let's continue on.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up. The last time we talked to you was obviously after the Buffalo game, and the 4th down calls were a big topic. How much have you self-evaluated when you went back and looked at how the season went from a coaching standpoint, a play calling standpoint for you? How much have you self-evaluated yourself there?
Okay, now this is an interesting question because he's taken a lot of heat over some 4th down calls or down in the red zone calls, right? I've given him a little heat, but not a lot. If we can only pick out 1 or 2 plays a game, but then you look at the rest of the plays and go, that was an excellent play call, right? Excellent play call. I will take 9 excellent play calls to 1 questionable play call every day of every week, when as opposed to having a coach who you're going 50-50 going, what in the world is this dude doing, right? I'll take that any day of the week. Now, we all know that Frank Reich has a lot to do with analytics, so let's see if he brings that up.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, go back and look at every game, look at the calls, evaluate 4th down calls, evaluate critical situations, situational football, and look at it with a critical eye. What did I like about the decision? What didn't I like? I sit down and I talk with George Lee and John Parker, analytics guys. I sit down and talk with the offensive staff where it's relevant about certain situations. Hey, let's play this out again. Always looking with a critical eye and how I can get better.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah, obviously. He's still new to head coach. He's been a head coach, what, 3 years, 4 years? 3 years. Obviously, he's always looking to get better. But I think he's doing a heck of a job being only a 3rd-year head coach. I mean, he's been an offensive coordinator / head coach, making the play calls for what, 4 years, maybe 5? Come on, give the guy a break. I think he's doing an excellent, excellent job. And you also got to remember, he's got to get a feel for the team, right? And he's slowly getting that feel. The longer he's here, the better he's going to be. Don't make me look at you with my critical eye. What's up, Alpha? All right.
Kravitz?
Yeah, kind of an odd question, Frank. The quarterback who shall not be named currently doesn't have a jersey number.
The quarterback that currently cannot be named. I'm sorry. That's just funnier than heck. That's great. Good job, Kravitz. Good job. Good job.
Um,
Is he about to bring up Michael Pittman Jr.?
How did you decide on 14? Did it have any particular relevance to you or significance?
Yeah, I mean, four, my very first number in football was the number 4. 4 was a kind of family number. Without boring people with all the details about all the connections to the number 4 that myself and my family have. And then, so 14 was a natural number for me. And that's the way it is with a lot of players. And any quarterback that would come in here, there's only certain numbers that are available. There's a couple of those quarterback numbers that are retired for good reason, and they're going to stay retired, obviously. And so, quarterbacks just come in and they look at the numbers available and embrace the opportunity to make a new number and to own it and to bring a new dimension to that number for their game. So that's usually the way it plays out.
He didn't even bring up Michael Pittman Jr. on that. And he's like, he's got an opportunity to have a new number.
Real quick, were you surprised at all that Michael decided he didn't want to give up the 11?
He did bring it up.
No, I wasn't even surprised at all.
You a liar. You're a liar. I'm sorry. But come on, guys. As a quarterback, he's an ex-quarterback. All right. He knows as an ex-quarterback, he fully expected Michael Pittman Jr. to give up his number to the quarterback. I mean, come on. All sorts of respect to Michael Pittman Jr. for not giving it up. Okay. Because Carson Wentz has to earn that respect in the locker room to have the number, because it's not like he's walking in, like a Brett Favre or Joe Montana or, Peyton Manning when he walked over to the Denver Broncos, or Tom Brady last year when he went over, to Tampa Bay, right? Completely different situations than Carson Wentz walking into Indianapolis, I think. So, no, I think Frank Reich's fibbing just a little bit here, but at the same time, he wants to say, kudos to Michael. And I think Frank Reich thinks it's a better idea for Carson Wentz to have a new number anyhow, because he's not in Philly no more, and he's putting Philly behind him, right? Put that past in the past, move on, get yourself a new number. That way you're starting all fresh, completely fresh with a new team.
I would have been shocked. I would have been shocked if players don't like to give up numbers easy. And I thought Michael looks good. I think Michael looks good in that number, and he played good in that number. So I'm excited he's keeping that number.
Okay, thank you,
Stacey Dale.
Even though I think he's fibbing a little bit, the fact that he's giving respect to Michael Pittman Jr. and backing him in this situation speaks volumes to me, especially with the heat that he has gotten over national media because of it. So good for Frank. Good for Frank.
Hey, Frank, thank you so much for the time. You're such a great teacher with elite quarterbacks and obviously played the position at an elite level. What are the keys to teaching NFL quarterbacks? And we don't get to see those nuances when you break down, the fundamentals, the individual performance, which translates to the scheme. What are the keys and why are you so good at it?
Well, I appreciate that comment.
Jesus Christ, how many times can you compliment a guy in one question? I think good for you. I'm glad that you were able to ask that question in such a way that you were able to tell Frank Reich that he was really, really great and was an elite player and stuff of that nature 15 times in one breath. That was impressive to me. That was the most impressive thing about that question, in my opinion. but it is a legit question. So let's hear what he's got to say.
Obviously, I think a big part of it is the players you're working with, and some of it is having the sense to stay out of their way. And when you get a horse, pardon the analogy, when you get a horse that can go the distance and that can do something special, part of the key to coaching is don't pull the reins back on them too much. And I think maybe my playing experience, not just playing the position, but playing in the type of offense that I played in, where Jim Kelly and I were calling our own plays and had a lot of input into the game plans. I just think that's prepared me to work with quarterbacks at a high level and to have the kind of relationship with these guys where we're working together. That sure, they know that we're the coaching staff and we have the final say, but we see this as a collaborative effort. And when you get these special elite quarterbacks, it's just, hey, let's find that healthy tension of, it is my job as a coach and Marcus Brady and Scott Milanovic to, have the hard coaching moments, right? Have the hard coaching moments, but there's also a lot of moments where, hey, this is us together. I mean, 98% of it is positive, collaborative, let's do this. 2% of it is don't ever do that again. I mean, that's kind of how it works out.
Wow. 98% is positive and 2%. How many watching right now has ever played football on any level, from Pee Wee all the way to college or NFL, if there happens to be any NFL guys? All right. I played 2 different positions in football. All right. And I'm telling you, 2% of it is not, don't do that again. In my experience, I would say 40% of it is don't do that again. You're doing it wrong. This is how you do it. Because if you're doing it right, generally they don't say nothing at all. It's usually when you do something wrong is when they say, yo, stop what you're doing. Are you an idiot? Right? I mean, come on. That's just how it is. That's how you're coached. You're almost never. How often have you, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just the coaches I had. But when I'm doing something right, they're not worrying about what I'm doing if I'm doing it right. They're too busy yelling at somebody who's doing it wrong. And if they see you doing something wrong, then they run over there and yell at you about the thing that you're doing wrong. And if you're doing it right, then they leave you off the side. That's how that works. That's how it worked with me. Almost never did they stop me and go, whoa, Lawrence. Dude, that was really, really good. Let's see if we can't work on that and even make it even better. You don't hear that. I have never heard that. I've heard, dude, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? You just seen this guy just do this jerking hook over here. What were you doing breaking on it when you should be backing up and make sure you don't throw it over your head? Because I played safety. That's the kind of stuff. So in that situation, I don't believe him on the 2% negative. But at the same time, when it comes to coaching a guy, he brings it up, man. He's got Carson Wentz walking into 4 quarterback coaches, basically. I said this earlier in the stream. Frank Reich, quarterback coach. Marcus Brady, quarterback coach. Milanovic, quarterback coach. Parks Frazier, quarterback coach. He's walking into a situation with 4 quarterback coaches. Coming from a team where he didn't even have one. Even Doug Peterson was a crappy offensive coach, a lone quarterback coach. Expect a lot from Carson Wentz. He's got himself a support system from heck coming into this. Yeah, maybe we should. But at the same time, you need to let someone know when they're doing bad, okay? I'm just saying. You need to let them know when they're doing bad. But if they're doing something good, I've seen both Sirianni and Matt Eberflus when we're watching these videos the Colts bring out where they're like, great job. Hey, what's your best thing? Your speed, your acceleration, your explosiveness. Let's make that a point, things of that nature. I've seen him compliment guys. I've seen both of them compliment guys, but I've also seen him go, whoa. That's not what okay. Let's work on this, especially out in training camp when I was out there 2 years ago, because obviously we weren't allowed as guys to go out to training camp last year. All right, let's keep going.
Kevin Bowen.
Greg, I know you had a couple guys opt out before last season. Marvell Tell was one of them. Has he said anything to you guys about being back for this coming season?
Yeah, and those are all discussions on all the opt-out guys that, Chris is kind of overseeing that whole project. So that'll all play itself out.
Mike Chappell.
Hold on. I need to bring up Tina's question. Does anyone think that losing Rathman as a running back coach will affect Taylor negatively in year 2? No. I think having Taylor as the running backs coach for that first year was a huge benefit. And I think that Taylor and all the other running backs that had him will take whatever he taught them and continue it with them throughout their career. This is a great question by Tina Matherly. Thanks for the question. That is an awesome thing. They're going to take whatever he had and use that throughout their career, and then use whatever the running backs coach is now and use that in their career as well. The more professional coaching you have, the better. So I don't think that losing him is a negative thing. It'll be negative because of any new running backs that might come in. But the guys that already had him for at least a year, I think he's probably taught them what he needs to teach them. It's because they can't say anything about Carson yet, Shrey. They can't say a thing about Carson Wentz until March 17th because of the rules, right? Teams can make verbal agreements, but nothing can be official until March 17th, which is the first start date of free agency in the NFL. So they can't legitimately announce it. Once March 17th hits, all these trades and stuff will come in. It's just like the Rams, right? And the Lions. Nothing is going to be on there about Stafford and Goff, right? Because they can't, not until then. Exactly. New league year starts March 17th. That's when the new league year starts. All right, let's continue on.
2 things real quick, Frank, since we've talked to you. Are there any major surgeries any players have had that might trickle into the offseason? And also, with no combine, maybe this is more of a question for Chris, but how will this impact the evaluations going into the draft?
So, same as last year a little bit in that, you got, this is where I feel like, of course I feel this way. We got a competitive advantage because we got Chris Ballard and his staff. So they're gonna exhaust every means possible to evaluate in every way possible. So it's the same for everybody. So it's harder, there's no doubt, but you got to be creative and you got to work hard at it. And I know we'll do that. Chap, as far as injuries, I don't want to get into specifics, but the guys that we all know about are doing well. Just saw Marlon this morning in the back working hard, and Paris, doing well. I think all those guys, everybody that had the minor ones, everybody's doing well.
Thanks.
Whoa. Did you just hear him talk about Marlon Mack being in the building training? Right? Working on that Achilles in training. What? That says a lot to me that he's still in the Colts building. That's good news. That is huge. That means, in my opinion, I think that has a big implication that Marlon Mack and Chris Ballard might be talking about a possible prove-it deal extension for Marlon. Because, to me, I think that's going to be a smart move for Marlon if he takes a big pay cut for a one-year deal to work beside Jonathan Taylor. That could only increase his contract availability a year later. So that would be a huge deal. And yes, Ant, that would be a monster, crazy running back room, the same running back room that we expected last year. Now, obviously, I'm trying to read between the lines a little bit here, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, we'll go 3 more. Joel Erickson.
Frank, I know you said you weren't getting too much of free agency, but
that's a possibility.
Obviously,
right?
a big decision looming with T.Y. Hilton. What have you guys talked about with T.Y. and where that might sit?
Yeah, I mean, Ty, I mean, you're right. I mean, we can't, it'll play itself out, but I'm not going to lie. I mean, the discussions we've had of, I would just echo what Mr. Irsay said and what Chris said, I think said in an interview or two, but I think we're all hoping that and optimistic and that there's a way that Ty can end his career as a Colt. He's a special player. He means a lot to us as an organization. But we all understand there's a business side of it to it that has to be right. It has to be right for Ty. It has to be right for the Colts. I'm just hopeful that that can play out. Ty's been a great player here. He's a leader on this team, and hope the business side of that can get worked out to where he can end his career as a Colt.
Okay, so here's the situation. I completely agree with Shrey here. All right. If Ty believes that Carson Wentz is the answer and that the Colts are a serious Super Bowl contender, he might come back to the Indianapolis Colts. But unless he does, I see him ring chasing. And I think that his career deserves him to be allowed to ring chase. Now, Frank even said, Ty's got his motivations. We have our motivations. Do they mesh? I don't know. I hope we could find I hope it meshes, but it doesn't sound like he's optimistic. He's hopeful, but he doesn't sound optimistic. You can hear the tone in his voice, right? It just didn't sound right. I would love Ty to come back, but at the same time, he's going to get at least $10 million a year, maybe $8 million, right? Because he's performing at a diminished capacity right now, but still $8 million. He could get that from a team that, might go to the Super Bowl. I mean, could you imagine T.Y. Hilton on Buffalo? Ew. To go with the rest of those receivers for Josh Allen to be throwing to? That would suck, though, because then the Colts would have that would suck to play against T.Y. Hilton, would it not? It would. But yeah, it don't look good to me so far. Hey, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Appreciate it.
Jim Aiello?
Jim!
Yeah, Frank, in terms of the quarterback position and evaluating it, how much do you rely on, obviously, your own evaluation, your own eyes, and then you do get these outside opinions maybe to confirm or go the other way? What is that process like in terms of evaluating quarterbacks?
Bless you, Jim, for asking this question. This has so many implications to the Carson Wentz trade, right? Because how many people here, when we traded for Carson Wentz, thought this is Frank Reich remembering Carson Wentz from 2017 when he played there, right? And just wants him for that situation.
Yeah, Jim, that's a good way to ask it because, I sometimes make reference to it's like a puzzle that you're getting a vision of who this player is. And so it's like a puzzle you put together and there's multiple pieces. And so when you're doing an evaluation, I obviously have a lot of confidence in my own evaluation and I'm going to work really hard at it. And so I'm putting all those pieces together. But I also like talking to other people, and from talking to other you guys know, Jim, I think I talked to you about it. Talked to Peyton Manning. I talked to other ex-quarterbacks. Chris and I have a zillion conversations about it. I'll talk to our offensive staff. And through all those other conversations, it's like you synthesize all that other information to maybe put in 2 or 3 last pieces to that puzzle. I think it would be foolish as an evaluator to think you have all the answers and to not want to hear any other perspective. I think it takes confidence and maturity to want to listen to other people, to learn from other people, even in the evaluation process. So I've enjoyed doing that over the years, talking to other people about every position, certainly the quarterback position as well.
Wow. I love that he said that. You know what? That should put a lot of people's minds at ease, okay? because for him to say, you know what, I talked to a lot of people. I talked with our coaches, our talent evaluators, Chris Ballard, other quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, basically saying, hey, am I seeing everything right? Because I could be biased, right? He can't look at Carson Wentz and not have some kind of bias. So it seems like he went out specifically asking other people, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Right? So that makes me feel a lot better about the trade, because it seems like to me he's asking guys that he really trusts on, how they evaluate, and not solely going on his own, personal interests here. So that's a huge, huge thing to remember now going forward.
All right, last one, George Bremer.
What's up, George?
Coach, how important was your previous relationship with Philip Rivers last year and his knowledge of the offense in terms of getting things rolling more quickly in a new spot? And how much of a benefit is that to any quarterback coming into a new situation?
Yeah, I think that's a good connection, George, because it really accelerated, especially in the unique circumstances that we're in with COVID and the limited off season that we had. It just helped accelerate the learning process of the offense, of, the relationship that has to be built, right? Because we've said this a lot of times. There's a personal aspect to the coaching a player. It's not just, this isn't just in a vacuum. There's a personal element to it. So anytime there's a personal connection with a player and there's a familiarity, with the offense and the terminology and what you're trying to accomplish and the vision for what you're trying to do, it can help accelerate it. I think Philip showed that very clearly. For him to be able to come in and play the way he did, and to lead the offense and the team the way he did, I think it helped a ton.
All right, so that was a good question, and it makes up. That's going to help Carson Wentz out a lot, is basically what they're saying. Because Philip Rivers came in and understood the system and the playbook and stuff like that, he was able to play at a pretty good level. He basically, same situation with Carson Wentz, obviously, correct? So, yeah, that is me reacting to the combine presser by Frank Reich that happened yesterday. Okay, now we could get to a few questions here in the chat. And quite frankly, McChicken says TY to Seattle. I don't know, especially there's questions on whether or not the quarterback's even going to be there right now. So I don't know if TY will go to Seattle because there's still question marks there. Same with, other teams that have bad situations in that. Yeah, Trellis brings up the fact that they need their O-line, which is funny. That's the whole reason why, you're hearing Russell Wilson might be cooking in another state. Look, hope we don't lose Mack, TJ Carey, and Walker Jr. Of the guys that you just named, I think Marlon Mack and TJ Carey have the best chance of re-signing. Anthony Walker Jr. led the team, had more snaps, Anthony Walker Jr. had less snaps and more tackles than Darius Leonard. Okay? Anthony Walker Jr. is a wonderful middle linebacker, and the Colts aren't going to be able to afford him. Okay? And as for TY, I've already stated that. I think TJ Carey, there's a chance he might come back. Honestly, TY, yes, gone. You want Doyle to go? Dude, I would not. I honestly, I would take Doyle over Burton 4 times a day, 8 times on Sunday, because Burton can't block and he drops the ball way too much for my liking. Okay. Doyle has more secure hand. He led the NFL 2 years ago in catch percentage, right? led the NFL in catch percentage 2 years ago. And he can block. Is he going to make huge splash plays? No, but he's going to make dependable plays. And I think Mo Alley Cox can take that. And Mo Alley Cox is better than Burton because he can block, plus he can do some big stuff. Do we need to go out and get another tight end? Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to have 3 good starting tight ends. That's how we do. But, yeah. Let's see. Possibly. That probably really did happen with Philadelphia drafting Hurts. Might have got under his skin. I believe that. And I agree, Aaron Stackhouse. There's some teams. I'm actually going to do a stream. If I got time, my next live stream will be guessing where the Colts free agents will go. Not if they're going to stay with Indianapolis. And if they do, that's where my guess will be. But I'm going to be guessing where they're going to go. And Anthony Walker Jr. is going to be a great idea of where he might go. All right. Same with Marlon Mack. If Marlon Mack's not a Colt, where would he go? T.Y. Hilton. I think that would make a great stream. All right. If you think that, let me know in the comment section after the stream, whatever, in the live stream or something. I think that would make a great stream, guessing where the Colts free agencies players end up in 2021. Yes, Brock Glazer, I agree. I think Mo Alley Cox is extremely underrated. He had the 6th most snaps on the offense last year, outside the offensive line, obviously. 6th most snaps. Was he targeted a lot? No, because he was held back blocking all the time in the run game and in the pass game. But he had one bad play the entire year where it bounced off his chest plate and went up in the air and got intercepted. He had a lot of other good stuff out there. But yeah, I don't think Mack goes to Jacksonville. Walker going over there with Miles Jack might be a good, interesting thing. But I don't think Marlon Mack will go to Jacksonville. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though, or whenever we can. But I know this sounds terrible. He wants to see way more Mo Alley Cox. I had to add that in there. But yes, I think Mo Alley Cox absolutely can perform and do more with more targets. And honestly, Carson Wentz loves his tight ends. It's obvious. We all know this. He loves his tight ends. He loves his running backs, right? He's thrown a crap ton to Miles Sanders. He's thrown a crap ton to Zach Ertz. All right. So I think both our running backs and our tight ends are going to succeed drastically with Carson Wentz at quarterback. Okay. Shrayla said not Mac. He meant Miles Jack. Yes. I could see that. Because it'd be a similar situation with being with the only problem is I think Jacksonville signed, was it Schobert, I think his name was? To fill that middle linebacker role, Joe Schobert. And he's pretty good. Is Walker better? Yes. I think Walker's going to make somewhere between $10 and $13 million a year next year. And he's going to be a solid middle linebacker for somebody out there. You can see T.Y. go to the Chiefs or Ravens. It's a possibility. I'd hate to see him go to an AFC team. I'd rather see him go to an NFC team. Let him go to the Rams. I think they have a serious shot at making the Super Bowl next year. All right. Could you imagine him going to the Rams with Matt Stafford and the rest of that number one defense plus a great running game and all those extra receivers they got? He'd be great out there. He'd be a great veteran receiver for Matt Stafford. But yeah, we'll talk more. We'll talk more about where a lot of our free agents will go. I'm not going to go into this. This is why I want to go in. We'll talk about that on the next live stream. So keep your thoughts in mind about those situations. Chicken says, Mick Chicken, my bad, says, Wentz had Ertz, Selleck, Burton. He likes the big guys down the seam. And, man, you don't get much bigger than Mo Alley Cox sitting at what? 6'6", like 260? I mean, good Lord. And the guy can run and catch? Yeah. Yeah, but the problem is, Shrey, if he's ring chasing, T.Y. could go for, I mean, he's made his money in Indy. T.Y. could pull, what some of these veterans have done over there in Tampa and be like, give me veterans minimum. I need a ring. He's made his money with Indy. Now he needs his ring. That's what's going to hold him up. And it sucks because I think he only needs like 600 and some yards to be the third player in Colts history to have 10,000 yards receiving. And no other franchise in the NFL has got 3 receivers with 10,000 yards receiving. So we're a little shy on that one. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I've been running this for an hour and 16 minutes. I want to thank everybody who showed up here in the live chat. I got like darn near 40 people in the live chat, man. That is awesome. Thanks so much. Don't forget, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm still on the road to 1K subscribers. Share this audio stream or video stream, whichever one you're watching or listening to your favorite social media. Help me out. I would very much appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and I want you to have a good one.